Recording in progress.
Yes, squad, Unbreakables, welcome to this morning's training, which I have entitled Lessons from the Lakes. So, first of all, the hugest thank you to everyone who made the effort to come this weekend. It was definitely our biggest, best event to date, and it was super special seeing, children and siblings there from the age of little Indy, who's, I don't even know how old she is. I asked Joe this morning, but I can't remember. I think she's 3 or 4. Right up to the big lad kids, Craig's son, and everyone in between. So, lessons from the lakes. Well, one, I think it was a huge reminder of the power of a peer group, the power of community, and just how important that is. And we talked about this in the human needs training. We talked about it in the how to upgrade your life trainings. And you will never outgrow your peer group. You will never outgrow your environment. If you're in a toxic relationship, you're not going to outgrow it. If you're in a toxic job, you're not going to outgrow it. If you've got a toxic peer group, you're not going to outgrow it. And the reality is, and this happened on a guy who inquired last week, and we can take a lesson from this and how important it is and how the subconscious programming can take over. This was his exact words. This is a guy who is a straight up alcoholic, in my opinion, not in his, which is the first point to make. He cannot very rarely go any day without drinking. Any person who says that, who then believes they're not an alcoholic because it's only 2 or 3 glasses of wine, or it's only 3 or 4 cans of beer, is full of crap. Off on a tangent already. Anyone who can't go 1 or 2 weekends without doing cocaine, who doesn't think they're a cocaine addict, is also full of crap. Because ultimately, those 2 things are affecting their lives in a negative way. They're affecting their families' lives in a negative way, and they can't stop doing it. That means they're not in control. That means they're not an addict. And anything you want, even down to food, guys, right? Anything you want to stop that you know is negatively affecting you or your family, that you can't stop, is an addiction. It doesn't matter how small it is, how irregular, how much you can reason it in your head. Oh, it's only 2 or 3 pints a day. Oh, it's only every other weekend. Oh, it's only a couple of bags of crisps per day. Peter Jackson, that was not aimed at you. But, if we're trying to stop something that's negatively affecting us and we can't, it doesn't matter how minute the amount of the thing or the regularity might be, that's an addiction. Anyway, off on a tangent. So this guy said, this is how subconsciously he'd been programmed by his peer group, which was ultimately his work colleagues. Typical guy, works away most of the time, and he actually said, and this is not me calling him out or taking the mickey, because he genuinely meant this. He said, well, once we finished work, when we're staying in the hotels, whether we're in England or when we're working abroad, we finish at 6 o'clock. Get ready for this. And then there's nothing to do until 11. So what else am I supposed to do, Lee, apart from get pissed? And he genuinely meant that. He's not taking the mickey. That's how programmed into habitually his life that addiction had become. And it's predominantly led, and then I dug a little bit deeper. There is a point to this. I've not gone off on one already. Because I then dug into, well, that's what all the other drivers do. That's what all the other shift workers do. I'm like, but you're not all the other shift workers. You're not all the other drivers. You're a guy who's in tears because your wife's about to leave with your 3 kids because you can't control your alcohol. You are not them. But can you see how he's just merged into the peer group? And, it's the same as, even though I am thinking of, well, I'm almost certainly going back next year. The same thing happened to me with rugby. Now, I have to be strong enough to say, yeah, I'm going to go back and start playing rugby next year. Am I going to stand in a room full of men when there's children there with my pants around my ankles and my wiener out, necking pints of lager and then putting the pint glass on my head and screaming something along the lines of "see it off, you Zulu warrior" at 43 years old when I'm trying to be an example to my son? No. Okay, they want to crack on and do that, good for them, but that won't be me. So that just again shows how you can be strong enough to change it. Just because you're doing the job, the sport or the thing, doesn't mean you have to merge into the habits of what all the other people do. Be strong enough to say no. But again, this was why the weekend was so good, because what I actually said to him was, he went, what else am I supposed to do between 6 o'clock and 10 o'clock? And I actually said these exact words on the call. I went, bro, would you like me to write you a list? Because I think I could fill up about 5 pages with positive things you could do during that time, which would supersede and improve your life and your kids. Then, and again, this is the reality with some people, and this is, you have to be honest, he then, after uncovering that he spent in the region of £350 to £400 a week on alcohol, cigarettes and junk food, then decided that he didn't quite have the money to invest in the coaching to get the help that he wanted. The reason why? Who knows the reason why? The reason why is because he's more committed to his current set of values, habits and actions than he is committed to the values, habits and actions of the change that he says he wanted. In the words of, who's old enough to remember Police Academy? Who remembers the, I can't even believe, where does my mind go on this? Who remembers the episode with the huge-breasted, short-haired blonde, and there's the tiny little Chinese copper who fancies her, and he says, talk is cheap. And I think anyway, you know, if you know the scene, you know the scene. But it's the same thing with him, right? Talk is cheap. Like, you can say you want to change, you can say all of these things, but unless you're actually going to do the thing and take the action, then you're more committed to your current set of habits than you are the habits that you need to implement to change. So the reason for that, going back into the weekend, so like the positivity, the inspiration, the drive, the energy, the camaraderie, the conversations and everything between the people was just the best it had ever been. And there were points when, I'm going to do it now because I'm a big wuss, points when I were welling up because I could just see people having conversations. I could see people coming out of their comfort zones. I could see people doing things that they'd never done before. James, I can see you watching. Seeing you launch yourself off that bridge in hiking boots about 7 times was just, it were like, I could see like the release and the payoff you were getting on it. It was like, watching you do that made me feel like I was on drugs, because I was just like, he is absolutely loving throwing himself off that bridge. And it was just so cool. And again, it's, you know, it's people leading people and giving other people confidence. And, you know, it's so important. So other lessons that I've written down, you know, we've said it, haven't we? If you hang around in McDonald's with 5 Mackie D eating losers, you're going to become the 5th Mackie D eating loser. If you hang around with 5 stressy, negative women who want to walk around Rother Valley and put the world to rights, their version of how they believe the world should be, you're going to come the 5th. If you hang around with people who take drugs and go clubbing and go to festivals every week, you're going to become yada, 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 and so on and so on. So, you know, if the quickest way to clean up your life is to clean up your peer group. Clean up the people you hang around with. Clean up, and it doesn't even have to be people in real life. It can be people who you see online. I've only met Peter Sage twice in real life. He is part of my peer group. He's right up there at the very top. He's in my boardroom. So again, you don't have to think, you know, it has to be real world people. We can remove ourselves from the real people. There's a lot of people I've removed even this year. Clients who I just said, I don't even want your money. Just remove yourself from my life. I've tried, right? I've tried. I don't need this energy. So you can do it. Now, secondly, the other lessons, before I go on, this is a bit all over the shop, but, you know, the gift of giving and contribution. We get lulled into the gift of giving and contribution comes down to the monetary value of the gift, the meaning of the gift. You know, definitely parents fall into this at Christmas. It's all about how many gifts, how much they cost, you know, the matching pajamas, the big showcase of all the presents under the tree and how much we're spending and everything else and how much the holiday cost. And yet the simple most thing, Jan, I just went to grab my copy of the inside track to show people on the screen, but I haven't got it because I gave it to you. So that book cost me nothing. Peter gave it to me for free and signed it. Okay, it's had a massive influence on my life. So I decided to give that gift, the signed copy, to Jan for free. It cost me nothing, it cost Jan nothing, it cost Peter nothing. Judging by Jan's reaction once the camera did stop, it was absolutely priceless. And again, lessons from this, I've now sent that video to Peter and he will feel amazing this morning knowing that he's changed 2 lives. I also won't be posting that video anywhere on social media. There's the next lesson, because if I was, what would I have been doing it for? Significance, validation, likes. I didn't do it for that reason. I did it for Peter as a personal thank you. So aside from me, Peter and Jan, no one's ever going to see that video. Big lesson for me there. The old Lee would have slapped it straight on social media to show the world how amazing I am. Don't need to do that anymore because I'm internally validating myself. So, planning. Planning. Freeman. A lot of these are lessons that I learned myself. So, I was all over the shop with setting off on time, as Peter will confirm. I had one of the worst ADHD days ever on Friday. I think I probably came back into this house and checked the locks in the region of, I've written this number down, I don't know why, in the region of 17 times before I set off. Checked I'd not forgotten things, came back and checked the back door, then I'd forgotten the steps, then I came back in, then I checked the back door again, and I'm going, why are you checking? Like, you've checked the back door 7 times, it's locked. Stop checking it. So it was kind of taking over a little bit, and I'm like, and again, this is a story that sometimes when we can create pressure and scarcity and urgency. And then I decided to take a sales call, which was a bonus. Laura Allsbrook, welcome to the team. Not planned, shouldn't have done it, wasn't in the schedule, made me late, but hey ho, there's a gift. And finally set off about 2.5 hours late. But a lesson that I learned is, went back to the old school trick. I probably would have been about 4 or 5 o'clock actually if I hadn't have done this. So I was like, right, Lee, what are you doing? You haven't packed. You haven't set off. You could have set off 2 hours ago. You're faffing around doing things you don't need to do, and you've still not even had a shower, and you went for a 15-kilometre run this morning. Sort yourself out now. So I went, right. I'm going to set a timer on my phone, and I'm going to see how quickly, if I wanted to, if it was an emergency, I could pack everything I need to pack, have a shower, get changed, and get in the car. 23 minutes, 15 seconds. The whole shebang, made a list, what do you need to take, put it out on the bed, packed it, jumped in the shower, bing dang dong, car. So I actually faffed around for about 2.5 hours doing a 23-minute job. I could have set off at 11:23 because the t-shirts came at 9 o'clock. So sometimes, if you have probably too much time, I think that's what happened there. I had too much time. Like, it wasn't urgent that I set off at that time, so I ended up creating myself a bit of stress. So sometimes if you've got a job that really needs doing, that can be a great hack to use. See how quick you can do it and set a timer. Have the timer out visual. That's what I actually did. So, moving on. Again, to discuss planning again. Guess who ended up on Hard Knot Pass? Yes, Freeman did. The road that I got Pete to write a plan for, so everyone avoided it because it's an absolute nightmare. Rather than actually reading the plan, I decided that I could set off, I could follow the sat-nav, I would wait until I got to in the region of Windermere, I would then look at it. I then thought, oh, I'm near Windermere. What I'm going to do is, rather than turning right, once I'd gone through Ambleside, I'm going to go straight on. I'm sure the sat-nav will just find its way and take me in the other way. No, it didn't. It took me to a dead end where I wasn't going to go anywhere. So I turned around and thought, right, I'll go back to Hard Knot Pass, and then I'll just drive past the entrance to it, and maybe that road will take me in. No, it didn't. I was only left with one. Who's got a microphone on? I only left one. Only left me with one option, which was Hard Knot Pass, which was fun. No, it wasn't. That's a lie. But I tell you what. Here's the lesson. It was a lot easier than the first time. It was a lot easier with it not being dark. It was a lot easier with Pete not winding me up. And the second time was 50 times easier than the first time. It actually wasn't that bad. And that's a lesson with fear and anxiety. So the first time it was new, it was really uncomfortable, it was dark, and it was hyper stressful. This time it still wasn't great, but it was a lot easier than it was the first time. And this is the single lesson with all fear and anxiety. How do we overcome fear and anxiety, which is a big lesson we'll go on to? The only way is to go through it. And it's exactly the same story as I've told you guys multiple times. The first time I spoke publicly was in a room full of about 20 personal trainers, and I was coaching them on their businesses, on the mindset of business. And oh my days, having thought I'm super confident, I'm the big dog here, I'm the big league, I'm going to go out and smash it. 5 minutes before I was about to speak, my hands were going like this. I was sweating. I was worried that I had disco patches. I was stood back at the room. I was pacing. The 2 to 3 cans of Monster I'd had in the hour before probably didn't help the situation. And I was literally SH1T'ing a brick. And I couldn't get my head around it. And then the next day when I spoke to Paul, I said, what happened? And he's like, what do you mean? I went, how can I have DJ'd in front of crowds of 3,000 or 4,000 people, like I'd literally just got home that summer from supporting Sigala? No shakes, no stress, no anxiety, a little bit but not a lot. I'm talking in a room in front of 16 PTs, and I'm shaking like a shitting dog. And he went, it's just the amount of times. That's all it is. How many times have you DJ'd? I'm like, I don't know, 3,000 maybe across the last 15 years. Because that's all it is. It's not the size of the thing, it's the amount of times that you've done it. So even that lesson there, if you're struggling with something, and what's difficult and where a lot of people get held back is, Snake Pass was uncomfortable, so I'm never doing it again. The gym was uncomfortable, Hard Knot Pass, so I'm never doing it again. Speaking on stage was uncomfortable, I'm never doing it again. God, I was so nervous at my first DJ set, I'm never doing it again. So you're either in that zone, or it can actually be that crippling that people never even do the DJ set. They never even speak on stage. They never even go to the gym. They never even come to the client quarterly, because the fear and the anxiety cripples them before even doing the thing. So the only way to go to overcome fear is to go through it. The only way to overcome anxiety is to go through it. Okay? And, there's a million things we could go off on tangents here where it builds down. Fear of what other people think of you is probably what I was most struggling with. Worried about being judged, worried I was going to get my words wrong. Again, if I'm completely honest, in that situation that I'm talking about, I hadn't rehearsed, and I didn't know my shit as well as I should have done either, which meant I felt a little bit out of my depth when I started talking. But what do we do as with everything, right? We accept the lessons and we move forward. The second time was better, the third time was better, the fourth time was better. Mindset mastery, I probably had a tiny little shake, but I was confident talking without notes for long periods of it. So again, it's whatever the thing is that's holding you back, keep going through it, and it will come completely normal. It will become completely normal. Like, again, the same situation, and for the personal analogy, I don't know if is Jess watching? Jess is watching, yeah. Jess, first client quarterly, really uncomfortable, hid behind a tree at Rother Valley, didn't even come and join the group because she was that nervous and anxious. Now she's one of the strongest people of the team, was there the whole weekend at the event. James has come in, unbelievable change, but it only happened via going through it and going through it and going through it and going through it, and all of a sudden it's your family and it feels the norm and you feel comfortable and you have no fear of being mocked, judged or laughed at, and you're loving life. And you know, that will happen so many times when, you know, if I then probably drove hard not pass every week for the next 52 weeks, I'd probably be whipping around it like Colin McRae. I'd know all the bends, I'd know where to pause and brake because the sheep were going to run out in front of the road. I'd know where the rocks and the dangerous drops are. I'd remember where the cattle grid was, you know, and I'd probably be doing it twice as fast without any fear or anxiety. So it's about how many times we go through it, and be willing to go through the difficult situation until it becomes easier. Now, moving on, the next lesson. So, little Indy. I don't know, Joe, you're going to have to confirm me. I did message you this morning, but you didn't. You haven't replied yet, which I understand. I think it was probably about silly o'clock this morning. Indy was Joe's youngest. He's got Indy and Nico. I don't know how old she is, but she's not very old. She made it to the top. She must be between 2 and 4, I think. Made it to the top of Stanley Gill Force with her mum. Now, for me, this is the power of positive leadership. This is the power of leading your family as a parent, or leading your friends, or leading. She is never ever going to forget that experience. And she's going to look up to, wow, this is what we do. This is what we do as a family. And this will go on for years. God, do you remember when we took Indy up Stanley Gill Force when she was 3? You know, she's a toddler. But this is the power of, again, the peer group, the power of leadership, the power of contribution, and the power of saying, how can we, not we can't. Now, without running a survey, which I'm not going to, I would say probably in the region, including myself, which is why I've got so much respect for them. They also actually travelled the world with a newborn, which is crazy, different league. A very high percentage, almost all parents, I would imagine, we can't take her up there. She's too young. And that's, again, a habit that we'll have gone into. Can't do this because of X. Can't do that because of that. Your mind will subconsciously do that via previous programming. Instead of like, well, how can we? Oh, actually, yeah, we can. And I think this is, guys, if you want to jump on the reel on my personal Facebook, it'll be hilarious. There's already some do-gooders commenting about, oh yeah, great jump. The guy at Eton said the same thing when he jumped off the bridge and ended up a paraplegic for life. And then there's somebody else calling me out saying that it's dangerous, and somebody else, I don't know. Anyway, they're saying what they're saying. But, you know, again, this will be what happens in one of them. I put, yeah, no, you'd almost think that like we'd done it before and loads of times and tested it and there were people there anyway. But there'll always be people that will pull negative things out of something that was a positive experience. Pete, feel free to go on and ridicule them. I think you having a banterful conversation with them will not only push my social media through the roof, I think you'll have a lot of fun with them. Just don't tag me because I'll end up watching it all day and not getting any work done. So, you know, this is what we end up falling into, I think, and it will be built down from parents, teachers, and everyone in between. Be careful. Don't take risks. That's too difficult. No, we shouldn't be taking her up there. And the mind will reset instantly to a whole set of reasons why you shouldn't do a certain thing, because it's risky and it's, you know, it's uncomfortable, and we straight away look at a reason why we can't do things, either as adults or to our kids, rather than how we can do things. And this is like I'm celebrating Joe and Gemma here, because I would not for 1 second have gone, yeah, do you know what? I'll go travelling all over America and Europe and Eastern Asia and everywhere else in between with a 6-month-old child. I think I struggled taking Logan to the supermarket when he was 6, let alone travelling all over the world. And again, oh no, we can't do this because of Logan. Oh, we can't do this. Oh, and let's not do that because that's going to be a nightmare. They've just got a different mindset. They just, whatever it is in front of them, they just embrace it. And I think we can all massively learn from that. So little Indy, Joe and Gemma, gave me a huge lesson. Again, a reminder of how can we? Not we can't because of X. So next one is, and I want this to be really important, and it's built into what I've just said about Jess as well. Your fears are your fears. Again, the same with the gift of giving. Doesn't matter how big or small the gift is, or how big or small the fear is. For some people, it was just showing up. And if you overcame that, well done. Don't let other people's fears become your fears, or think your fear is not big enough or it's silly because other people have bigger ones. You know, some people just getting there and meeting new people will have caused huge anxiety. So well done. Some people, it would have been about jumping off the bridge. Some people, it would have been about the climb. But, you know, whatever it is, that's a lesson that I learned, that, you know, for one person, just showing up will have been a bigger victory than one of the people who jumped off the bridge. So whatever your fears are, be okay with them, no matter how big or small. Don't think they're silly, don't think they're daft, and celebrate yourself for overcoming them. Don't compare yourself to, oh yeah, but it's very easy to do this. You forget about what you overcame because so-and-so did a backflip off the bridge. So, yeah, it's not about the size of the challenge. It's about you versus you. It's not about the amount of weight you've lost. It's about you versus you. It's not about how far you've run. It's about you versus you. So, next point before we come on to Lee's very entertaining bridge jump. And very interesting exit strategy, which again showed why you need a very strong team and positive peer group around you. Inspired parents create inspired children. Case closed. Motivated parents create motivated children. Case closed. Confident, energetic, driven, focused parents create confident, energetic, driven kids. You know, Peter says this, and I love it. He says you've either got inspired, you've got people who are inspired and people that aren't. That's it. The end. Case closed. So again, it's, you know, that's what was so good to see about the weekend, was the inspiration that people were getting from each other, and maybe just seeing and yeah, you know, seeing the way people were behaving, seeing the way they're engaging, and giving them the confidence to do it. And you know, those without a shadow of a doubt, the win of the weekend for me was the amount of children that were there, that took away experiences that they're just going to remember for life. You know, I don't remember doing anything like that at that age. And you know, for all of you that did, and you are driving out and be in that lighthouse, not the tugboat, just showing them, I just want to celebrate you. So, and it's the same going back to this is actually what I said to the guy who didn't take action, who I was discussing at the start. I went, you are showing your children that what we do is we drink after work every night until we fall asleep. And then at weekend, we go to the football and we drink and we get home and we talk to our wife, your mum, like shit because we're pissed. And then on Sunday, we go for Sunday dinner and we'd aim not to drink, but we go to Wetherspoons and we end up getting leathered before repeating again. That is undisputable, right? We know they are watching, listening, copying everything we do. Which with my language is going to become a real difficult situation with Logan, hence why I'm winding it in. But, you know, we have to set the example, and it's about showing them, not telling them, whether it's your friends, your family, your kids, or anyone in between. And that comes down to taking ownership and responsibility and doing the action. Again, with the habits of blaming and complaining, you know, whatever we are doing, they are copying and seeing. So we have to be the example. And everyone was this weekend, which was a great take home. So, for those of you that weren't there, Lee's bridge jump. So, having been someone who'd done the bridge jump multiple times before, and got out at a certain point of the river, which I think it had probably been a lot drier before, or the water was higher, or there was a rock below, but I don't know. Okay, and this comes down to having a plan and not having a backup plan. So, and expecting the unexpected. So obviously I was very confident with the bridge jump before swimming off to a point where I thought it was going to be very easy for me to get myself out and pull myself up. Only to realise that if you actually look back at the video, there's 2 points. I'd actually become a little bit disorientated with the cold, and I'd swam to the first bit, not the second bit, which was almost impossible to lift yourself up and get out of, especially when the rocks were wet, which I don't think they were last time. I guess again comes down to having a strong team around you, but also having a contingency plan. Okay, I was overly confident, which is something we shouldn't be, because I'd done it quite a few times before. And it ended up with me barely being able to get out of that point, and I can't remember who it was. Craig, was it you as well? Craig, Rob, and Pete, who I hope you haven't torn any ligaments in your biceps, who had to end up pretty much dragging a 14-stone lump out of the steepest bit of the rock because I'd gone to the wrong place. You know, and this builds into understanding the lesson. So what I should have really done is I could have just kicked back, floated on my back, realised it was the wrong point, and drifted back down to the easier point to get out. But again, this is so many lessons, and I think I can beat myself up about things. But also, when I journaled this out last night, I was like, actually, no, that is leadership, because 1, you were willing to go first, and 2, you know, you actually showed everyone how not to get out. So nobody else was going to make that same mistake of trying to get out at that point. But again, you know, the power of the peer group and a great team. People were there, they rally round, and we solved the situation. So teamwork makes the dream work. And we go back to the beginning of this live of, you know, the power of having a positive team around you. And I don't think sometimes people realise, even Jan, I know you said to Pete afterwards, you know, thanks for getting me out, because I was struggling a little bit there. But to the naked eye, I was watching Jan. She jumped off, flipped onto her back, and she looked like she was synchronised swimming down the river on her back, having the time of her life. And it wasn't until Jan had got out that, like Jan said, God, I was struggling a little bit there. Willingness to allow others to help. Let's just read the comments quickly. I don't have them on because ADHD. Willingness to help others is great leadership. Craig's absolutely right. Craig has some great insights as well, actually. But also, you know, always expect the unexpected and always have a backup plan was the lesson that I took away. And also, don't get too overly confident. You know, don't get too cocky, because, you know, it still was a tough situation, and I should have now mentally had. I think this is just me in a nutshell. I was that carried away with getting ready to enjoy the jump. I think when I jumped, I'm not sure I'd actually thought about where I was going to get out at all. Again, because I'd done it before. It's a little bit of overconfidence. So have a plan, have a backup plan. If your backup plan doesn't work and your other plan doesn't work, have a strong squad to look after you that will support you. And that's exactly what happened. So moving on. This is something I don't think I've ever said in a live before, but it is an old age phrase. Do you know what? Laughter really is the best medicine. And I laughed so much this weekend, from laughing at myself, laughing at Pete, laughing at Richie, and just laughing at everyone, just having a laugh and just taking the piss out of each other. But the pinnacle laughter, the first bit, was for me. So little Gracie goes up with Richie, who, contrary to popular belief, watching the bridge jump, really didn't want to do that. And Gracie says, "I'll do it, Daddy, if you do it." So Richie's bang on for it, and he's trying to get up, and I think me and Pete were there, and he's saying, "I can't do it, I can't do it, I can't do it, I can't." And he couldn't get over the point of getting up onto the bridge to get over and looking down. So, like a complete clown, if you watch the video and see my face, do you know what I thought? When people were like slating me for my jump, I thought, I can't fucking wait to see your health and safety concerns when I share Richie's. Because Richie decided the only way he could do the bridge was to run, sprint, and basically do a gymnastics, and you've seen him, he's not a gymnast, round off the bridge, and basically side bomb into the water. Like, I think I lost about a month of my life. My heart literally stopped. Anyway, only at that point for Gracie then to decide that actually she was just going to get down and she wasn't going to do it, which was hilarious. He was mortified, but there were so many little situations like that that were just, just fun. And, whether little Gracie did it or not, she will come back and do it, just like Bella did. And I think there was actually a great lesson, joking aside, in what Richie did there. Because he just showed her, just go for it. Even when you feel like you can't, just go for it. And he went for it, and he did it. And it was absolutely amazing. To then be followed up by, she deserves a special mention, doesn't she? Little Isla, 7 years old, 7, got up and did the top bridge. It was unbelievable. And you go, again, this is, I'm really bashing this guy. I hope he doesn't watch this video. But this goes back from the guy at the beginning that I'm talking about. Imagine that, 7 years old. That's the energy she's around. That's the environment she's been around. That's what she's being shown. Take risks, conquer your fears, jump the bridge, be around people, be around laughter. And she was absolutely, once she'd got over the shock, she was buzzing on Saturday night and Sunday morning, and I would imagine she's still buzzing today, and every single person knows about it at school. She was like, I was the only kid that did it. And we have to put that aside. How many dads just took their kids to the football and got pissed on Saturday? Different experiences, different environments, but again, maybe they might watch this YouTube. All the do-gooders on the video, again, they'll be holding their kids back. Be careful, don't do that, it's dangerous. Be safe, no, we don't go there, no, we don't do this. And it's, if we're just willing to go for it, if we're just willing to say, yep, Richie B, no road back, I'm doing this, watch me, whatever it is, the payoff is huge. These are magic memories that will be taken away for life, that inspired people to the level. This is one of the other best moments. I don't know how many people, I think most people realise this happened. Adam, the videographer, I think he was probably inspired by James's ferocious boot leaps, just sends me a message, can I do the jump? The next minute, the videographer's buffed off to his boxer shorts, he's at the top of the bridge and dives in himself. So again, it's just people following people. And can you see the knock-on effect of how, one person doing one thing gives another person the confidence and the confidence and the confidence and the confidence and so on, and the inspiration. And that's what happened. And the other little bits that I'm going to pull up before, because most of you won't know about Sunday morning because you weren't there. So first of all, this, I don't know where this came from. This was a mindset quote from years ago. So this is another lesson. I think this is a huge lesson for your fitness, nutrition, your mindset, and everything you're doing in life, careers and business and everything in between. Mark and I got up and went for a walk very early Sunday morning. And we were watching the river at points go down. And it's a really old mindset quote that I'd actually forgotten about. And the quote is something along the lines of, this is the Freeman version, that a river cuts through the most solid of rocks, not because of its power, not because of its strength, not because of its speed, but because of its consistency. And that's it. There's points when and I was watching, there's points when that river is really just not much more than a trickle, but even a consistent trickle against a solid rock will eventually cut through the rock and go through it. So it's not about how hard you work. It's not about how, sometimes it is, it's not about how strong you are. It's not about how sharp you are. It's not about how powerful you are. It's not about how quickly you do it. That river consistently hitting that part of the rock will eventually cut through it and get through the other side. even though the rock is solid concrete and the river is just a trickle. So I think take that away to your goals, you know. It's about consistency, not how fast, how strong and quickly you can do it. If you're the river and you consistently do the thing, no matter how strong or how slow you may feel, eventually, if you're consistent, you will cut through the river. Lastly, I'm going to finish on actually, I've got 3 more points. Forgot about them ones. So, who loves cheese and chips? I do. I pretty much lived on cheese, chips, squashies, chicken sandwiches, Trek bars, poached eggs on toast, toast, and more toast all weekend. I knew my gut felt a bit like last night. On the scales this morning, 85.5 kg. That's nearly 6 kg up from Friday morning. Now, that shows one thing. You can see how funny I find it, right? You know how many people would be having a complete I did have a big poo before I came on this live, actually. So I'm probably back down to about 84. But do you know how many people that would be freaking them out this morning, right? Guys, body fat will not create for 11 days. Maybe 12, 13, 14, even longer in some people. That is purely stored chips, cheese, squashies, about 15 to 25 slices of bread, high calorie butter, eggs, and everything else in between that my body is holding on to. The actual, you can even see it in the video of the jump. I look like a bit of a whale afterwards. Someone even commented on it, cheeky buggers, saying I'll put some pork on. But, you know, that is just stored water and glycogen. That's it. I will have 2 very, very low carbohydrate days now. And I'm pretty sure Wednesday morning I'll be back in the region of 80 kg. So again, take the lesson from that. If that's happened to you this weekend, you know, that you can't do damage in that amount of time as long as you correct it. So I was probably about, I'm going to guess, in the region of 350 to 400 grams of carbohydrates, pretty much over on Friday, Saturday and Sunday. Just need to pull that back this week. I'll be absolutely fine by Wednesday. So if you do experience that and you have a weekend off plan like that, don't overthink it and think you've ruined everything and you've ruined your life. And be very easy to do that on the scales this morning and almost forget about the magic memories. Forget about all the things that you overcome because you're having an absolute, you know, Melissa meltdown because you've stepped on the scales and they've gone up. So last bits to finish on are back to, I think, remembering that life is a contribution and experience-based experience. I said at the start when I was talking, you know, whatever, all the experiences that people had this weekend can't be forgotten, can't be taken away, can't be bought, and no one could give them to you. And I think those are the things in life that I'm searching out now. You know, we spend so much time wanting the car, wanting the job, wanting the career, wanting the holiday, wanting the watch, wanting the handbag. That's just me. And we forget about, you know, actually, and several people said that to me this weekend. Some people have booked back on to go to Eskdale already, Pete. And a massive thanks to Pete as well for his support this weekend. You know, that wouldn't have happened without Pete. That's where he grew up. He's the first person that he threw me off the bridge when I was 12. After weaning me on alcohol from, no he didn't. But you know, he was a huge part of that weekend and it wouldn't have happened without him. And all these things are experiences and memories that I think if you're having an experience or a memory that can't be taken away and it costs you nothing, that's where the real magic lies. And we end up going the other way. It's that we think the things that cost the most are the things that are going to be the best and give us the best experience, when very often it's the absolute opposite. Now, I'm going to finish on Sunday morning crew because this was world class. So, little Bella, having seen her younger sister do it, had woken up on Sunday morning and decided that she wanted to do the jump, which was incredible because for me, That's a that's a different level of courage. Having what was it, what a VW voluntary withdrawn from doing it on Saturday, not being able to do it, being afraid and not finding the strength to then decide, no, I'm going to come back. I'm going back on Sunday morning and I'm going to do that bridge. And she did it, and we were all there, and it was absolutely amazing. But again, this is the power of support and peer group. Kaz, Richie's wife, also did it because this was probably the magic moment of the weekend for me, apart from the third portion of cheese and chips, was Bella still was struggling. She was like, oh, I can't do it, I can't do it, I can't do it. And then she wasn't going to do it, and then she can't do it. And then Kaz just said randomly out of the blue, do you want me to do it with you? And that was it. Kaz buffed off, grabbed her hand, 3, 2, 1, and they were in. And it was absolutely amazing. And again, that just shows the power of someone being able to put themselves up to support the person to get the job done. Where are we back at? Environment, community, peer group, team, support. It's so important. And it was just incredible. And that is what life's about for me, supporting other people to achieve things that they couldn't do without you. And that's exactly what happened there. So, final point. Final 2 points. Jesus wept. I'm not going to tell you how much oh no, it's down. Whew. There we go. There's a live point. Why do we think that is? I read up and down the wrong way. That beep was my screen time was down 61% last weekend. We basically had 3 days almost without phones, didn't we? That's the first win of the week. Now for me, the last point before I quickly discuss Fan Dance and the run is keeping momentum, guys. We gained momentum this week. We gained confidence. We overcome fears. What I went through yesterday, and I think a lot of you will experience, and I will experience first, and I'm always brutally honest with you guys. I wasn't going to do this live this morning. I even said to Nat last night, I went, I can't do that live in the morning. I got home at about 3:45 p.m. last night, which gave me enough time to grab Logan, get to Sports Direct, get his football kit and his football boots, which was the reason for coming back. His football boots that he then wore out of the shop because he wouldn't take them off, which was again a magic evening in itself. But it was stressful getting back, and I was so tired last night. I was absolutely exhausted, and we're building back into leadership here. And I went, I'm just going to do the live on Tuesday and Thursday. I went, I haven't got the energy to go home and plan anything. I'm going to be knackered in, just talking myself out of everything. Then you have that slap bang. No, you're the leader. What example are you setting and showing if just because you are tired, you're going to cancel it and move it a day just because you can? How we do something, how we do anything is how we do everything. So if we then breed into that habit of, oh, I'm tired, I'm going to do the live on Tuesday. Oh, I'm tired, I'll work out on Wednesday. Oh, I can take Logan on Monday, so I'll not rush back today. Can you see how it's the same theme? We're building into this, and we are the example. So if we keep putting things off because we can, we're going to develop the habit of, every time I'm tired and things get tough, I'm going to say no, and I'm going to push it back a little bit further because I'm tired. Now, I'm not telling anyone to push themselves to complete physical exhaustion or burnout, but again, those are the little decisions that make or break you. Lindsay's saying she wasn't going to do this. She wasn't going to do this workout, but she's got up and done it. There she is, like smiling away, pumping on the cross trainer. Pete's out walking, and I think those are the decisions when we want to VW because we're tired. When in fact we actually have momentum. That if we then push through them and get the job done, we feel proud afterwards. And that's the be all and end all of it. It's like you either get up and you make the effort and you do the thing and you get the reward, or you don't get up and you don't do the thing and you don't make the effort because you're tired and you feel like crap. And we're all in control of that decision. And very often, sometimes as well, you just need a little nap. I just had a bit of a power nap, and then came back and I'm like, right, no, set your alarm, get up for the morning, plan the training, and again do the same with your training and your schedules. And sometimes when you're tired, just have a little nap and come back and remake that decision. So yeah, I hope that's been an insightful lesson from the lakes. And yeah, let's really build on this and keep momentum now, because even when you're tired, even when you feel like you don't want to, when you actually do the thing, the drive home, the shopping, the turn up and do the live, you get the reward and you feel great. Effort will always equal reward. We are the example, do the work, get the reward. So next events, we have 4 weeks on Wednesday, I can't believe it's come around that quickly, I will be starting the 200-mile journey, dependent on how many times I check whether the back door's locked or not, and whether I set my timer to pack my kit, sometime on the Wednesday afternoon, which gives it enough leeway with press stuff that hopefully, all being well, between 60 and 65 and 70 hours, should be finishing at some point around about the same time on Saturday, when people can make it down. So I'd love people to come and join me for runs. I am going to put a bit of a rota out for people to come down and run and walk when they want to. It will be a little bit of a scheduled plan thing, because I don't really want any more than 1 or 2 people with me at any time, because my head will just go a bit scatty and distracted. So if anyone wants to, drop me a message, even if it's coming, and I'll only be moving it around about 7 to 8 kilometers per hour, so I'm not going to be going too fast, and there'll be periods when I'm walking. So if you want in and you want to come and support, great. That said, then on hopefully to be finishing at around about 12 or 1 o'clock on the Saturday, at which point we'll all be meeting and having some food and having some drinks and walking, and again very much like Saturday was, with the kids and the families and everyone involved around Rother Valley. So very simple live, not too much time. And then July the 26th to the 28th, or just the 27th if you want to travel, we will be taking on the Fan Dance, which you'll be hearing more and more about. The Fan Dance is the SAS selection course on Penny Fan in the Brecon Beacons in Wales. Now, I don't want that to freak anyone out and think, I can't do that, that's too tough, because a 7-year-old just jumped off a bridge, so don't be a pussy. No, I'm only joking. But it's not as tough as you think. So SAS selection is full kit, 22 kilograms, carrying a rifle, all the way up Penny Fan, down Jacob's Ladder, along the Roman Road, turn around, back the other way, and you have to complete it in less than 4 hours, 15 minutes, which I will be attempting on this one, because I'm going to be doing it for charity for Lacey and John. Now, in any form of ability, you can do it. Some people will take it as a leisurely walk. You will go up Penny Fan, chill, have some food, and you can go back down Penny Fan and to the car, which kids can do. Anyone can do it. So again, I've specifically built this. Di and the team will be there as well. Di is ex-Special Forces. He's Welsh. He's about 6'8". Incredibly good looking, tall, dark and bearded ladies. The whole experience is going to be worth it just to meet Di. But again, him and the team will be there to look after everyone. And at whatever point there is because of the way it's set out, there's a cut-off. So you will get to a point where even if you went up Penny Fan, down Jacob's Ladder, you'll get so far when if you'd not hit that point by 4 hours, you'll turn back, which will mean everyone will complete it. So whatever anyone's ability is, they will be able to do it. If you want to come and go for it, great. If you can do it loaded with a backpack, you can do it completely unloaded. There's going to be a lot more information. I'm just giving you a little bit of a teaser and for you to save the date. Again, if you want to come down on the 26th, sleep over, the event's on the 27th, have food again afterwards like we did this weekend, and return on the 29th, great. again, you know, you can go up and down to penny fan in one day just on the 27th. So again, do what works for you and don't feel under any pressure. And the good thing about the fan dances as well, if you, for example, only made it to the bottom of Jacob's ladder before you had to turn around and go back, um, the front leaders will probably have made it past Jacob's ladder to the end of the Roman road and then back to Jacob's ladder. So we'll kind of, most people will finish together dependent on where they've turned round. Does that make sense? So it's for all abilities. It's going to be great fun. It can be a leisurely walk up a mountain, or you can be taking on the full SAS selection and trying to beat the time. Craig, your lad will absolutely love it, by the way, if he wants to come. And he'll probably make me look like Mr. Blobby. But it's going to be great. So get those dates in your diary. I'll post more information in the group for both. And overall, just an over and out from me. Have a great weekend. I love you all. Thanks for everyone who came this weekend. If you didn't come, I hope you feel inspired to come for future events. It's such a great team. It's such a great family. You'll be more than welcome. So if you did feel a little bit overwhelmed and anxious about coming this weekend because it's new people, as I said at the beginning, that's completely normal. But the only way you will overcome that anxiety and go through it is by showing up, putting one of those dates in your diary and coming and meeting everyone. But you couldn't meet a friendlier group of people. Guys, I love you all. Thank you from me. Have the best week, and I will see you bright and early on Thursday morning.